I've been asked in the comments section a few times about the carving vices I use. They're not actually vices, they're just face plates that you fix your carvings onto, but they are referred to as carving vices. So this is the first one I bought. It's quite heavy, it's not bad, it does most of the things you want it to do. The quality is not fantastic, but it does work, and it's a lot better than nothing. So you can loosen the handle, it'll spin, you can alter the height of it and move it both ways. And if you want to spin the base, you get this pin which loosens this nut here, or you get this spanner for it, which if you lock it that way, that loosens it, and that can be moved around. So if it's at an angle, and you can move it around like that. It's a bit awkward, it's not the quickest way of doing it, and you have to lock it up again. It's easier when it's bolted down, but it's still not, it's not great, but like I say, it's better than nothing. I used this for quite a while. It makes life a lot easier than trying to hold something in the vise and you're stooping down. It brings it up to a better height, so you're not bending over, which is bad for your back. So, you know, if you've not got a lot of money, these are pretty good. I mean, they're a good option. So the second one I bought was this, the Veritas one. Now Veritas make really good tools actually, the quality is nice. So I thought that would be pretty good as an upgrade. I wasn't that impressed with it. It's certain things are a bit awkward. The locking mechanism for bringing it forward, you have to undo this a few turns before it clicks in, because it's got these steps in it, which is good because it's not going to slip. But if it's not quite in the right position, I always found that that was too high and that was too low. I wanted it somewhere in the middle. That's just a bit fussy, I think. But the problem with it is, if you've got a piece of wood mounted across there, the handle hits it, so you can't undo it that well. There is a button on the end to alter it, the position of the handle, but you're having to keep messing around quite a bit. It's not quick, you don't just loosen it, move it and tighten it up and get on with the job. I just found it a little bit awkward. Also, it wouldn't spin like that. So I bought the dog mounted attachment, which screws in underneath. Drilled a hole in the wood that it was mounted on, and I put 3 pins in it, brass pins, which stopped it spinning. And if I wanted to turn it, I loosened the dog wing nut, lifted it up, turned it, put it back on the pins and tightened this up again. So it worked for a couple of positions, 90 degrees. Like I say, it was a little bit awkward, still not 100% happy with it, but I used that for quite a while. But I always kept my eye out for a hydra-clamp, which is the ones I'd always liked and always wanted, but they're quite expensive new, and I couldn't justify spending that much. If I was carving all the time and never did anything else, then yeah, I would, but because I don't carve all the time, it was quite an extravagant thing to purchase. So I kept my eye on eBay for years really, looking for one. They came up now and again, but they're a bit expensive, even second-hand ones. So eventually, looking on eBay, I came across this one. I'd seen a few hydraulic ones, but they were a little bit expensive, so I give them a miss. They didn't have the face plates on either, and face plates are quite expensive for these. This one turned up with a face plate. It's a mechanical one rather than hydraulic. So you got this arm, which just spins on there. It's got a cam on the bottom, a steel rod as a ram, which just pushes up against this ball underneath, which sits in there, and it just locks it. And they're very good, they're very easy to use, very easy to move around. There's not too much messing around, unbolting things and spinning things around for ages. It just locks it. put a decent amount of pressure on, and it holds it really well. This is my favourite one actually out of all 4 of the ones that I've got. You can lock it that way or that way, it doesn't matter. It's just a cam. There's nothing to go wrong with them. They're great because you just can't really break them. There's nothing to wear out, there's no threads to wear out, or won't leak oil or anything. No seals to bother with. They are great. Now the way they gauge their load is if you lock it at 45 degrees and measure a foot away from the centre, this will take 13 kilograms, which is pretty good. I mean, for the kind of work I do, that's enough, that's fine. They do a smaller one which is 6 kilograms, but I think that's a little bit small really. I think this is the ideal one to get. This one's got a keyway for the faceplate. Now they do them with a thread, so you screw the faceplate on, and they say it's got a locking nut underneath, but if you had a locking nut, that would have to be on top. Basically the faceplate is a locking nut for the nut underneath. You can't undo that because the faceplate's stopping it, but there's nothing to stop you unscrewing the faceplate. So if you're actually carving something in an anti-clockwise direction, so if you're carving this side and that way, there's a chance it might unscrew. I've never used one, so I wouldn't know, but I mean that's the way it looks to me. So getting them with a keyway is the best one, as long as you can get a faceplate to fit it. I wouldn't buy one without a faceplate or something that you can use, because it might be a bit awkward to get or expensive. Like I say, these faceplates are quite pricey as well, but that one I think is great. Even though I was really happy with the mechanical version, I always wanted a hydraulic one, and I kept looking on eBay until I spotted this one. It didn't have a faceplate, but it did have this block on. A lot of them do. It has a keyway and 2 bolts on the other side, but I knew I had this piece of angle iron, quite a substantial chunk, and I knew I could get that to fit on, so I cut this up and drilled holes in it and bolted that on, and that works now as my faceplate, and it's fine. It works really well. When I bought this, it did leak like a sieve. The seals had gone in the pistons, which is the only thing really can go wrong with it. There's a thread here that could wear. It's a little bit of play, and it's really old, this one apparently. So these are the pistons that were in it originally, and these have the old type of seals on, which you'd expect to get these anywhere, and I'm sure you can get them. They're not odd sizes. This is 1 1/8. That's 3/4, and that's 1/4 inch. So they shouldn't be difficult to get. I couldn't find them. I didn't really look very hard. This one again, that's 3/4 inch. That's 1/2 inch diameter by 1/4 inch. So they should be available. But a lot of hydraulic stuff now uses O-rings. Now with the kit for getting new seals in, they send you a new piston, because apparently these are quite difficult to get out. I didn't have any problem. I just pushed on the big one at the top. This one just popped out. So the new one is very similar, but it has like just a big, like a tap washer, just a thick rubber seal that sits on there, and they drill a hole in the bottom and thread it. So to get it out again, you can just screw a bolt in and pull it out. So that's sort of like a little bit of an upgrade. But this now, the new ones have 2 O-rings on them, so obviously it won't fit on this. So because I've got an engineering lathe, I just turned another piston and put the O-rings on, and that's what's in it now, and it works fine. I'm sure the company will sell you a piston the same size, so I don't see it being a problem. You'd have to, if you're going to buy a second-hand one, it might be worth checking that you can get these, or they'll sell you a piston. They will give you that one in this kit. If they sell you a piston, get all the seals. And the other seal they give you is the one underneath for filling it with oil, and it's just a steel washer with a rubber O-ring in it, and that's for when you fill it up, and you just have to put that underneath. So you get the whole lock there, which is quite good. So this works in the same way. You loosen that, this will move around wherever you want it. Tighten that up, pushes this piston in that way, forcing that piston up, pushes on a block which tightens that ball in that housing. It's all cast iron and steel. They're pretty robust. I mean, this one's quite old and it's in pretty good working order. Just the seals go, which you can expect that, but they work well. Now the reason for this bit here is you can crack that nut there. This will come out, and your piston sits in there, and that pushes on the piston. But what you can do, and why it's designed like this, you can loosen that and tighten this up, and this will push the piston in. And you can adjust that so it's preloaded, so you can, even when you undo this, it's not just going to fall. So you can adjust that to however you want it, and then use the lock nut to hold it in place. So every time you just loosen that, it's still got some friction there. I just keep it loose, because every time I loosen this, I'm holding this anyway. Plus temperature can change it when it gets hot or cold. The oil expands or contracts, and then it can lock up anyway. So I like to keep it fairly loose. And just nip that up. Leave it like that. You tighten that up, locks it up. I don't like it as much as the other one. It's not as quick to use because you've got to tighten this up, and it's only got a bit of knurling on it. And my hands are quite dry and slippy, and it's hard to grip. It's all right with the grippy gloves on. You've got these things on, but they're not as easy. The new ones have got like a stepped, like a star-shaped handle, which is probably easier to use. But they're very good, these. I think I prefer the other one to this one. I use it more, but I tend to use them both really. Sometimes I'll have a carving mounted on each of them whilst I'm working on two different things at the same time. So I'll have the bigger thing on this and the smaller one on the little one, and just spin it round. So I mount them on this block of wood, and then I'll just clamp this down with a couple of bench holdfasts, so I can get this out of the way if I'm using the bench for something else, because I'm not carving all the time. But these are, I think, the best things on the market for carvers. They're just very expensive, and they don't come up on eBay second-hand that often. Like I say, if you're looking for one, make sure it's got a faceplate or you know how to fit it. Check you can get the seals. You should be able to. If the modern ones, the newer type, if they're the really early ones, I can't see it being a problem getting the seals for the older ones without having to change the pistons, but again, you can probably buy a new piston anyway. So take that into account when you're looking at them. You know, price up how much the seal kit is, how much the pistons are, before you buy one, because it might be a bit too expensive when you've added it all up. But these things are absolutely great, and I don't need anything else now. I'm happy with those. They do come with different arms on them. This is the short one with the keyway in, like I said. Some of them are much longer, and they've just got half of the things cut away with two bolts, top and bottom. They're just for mounting different things, like I say, they're for engineering, not for wood carvers. So you have to make sure you know how it sits for mounting anything. You can still mount stuff on those, you just have to make something like this with two bolts that way rather than that way. So, you know, just be aware when you're looking. So like I said, the maximum load on this one is 45 kilos. The next size up, you can tell the difference, that the head is almost the same size as the base. The maximum load on that is 150 kilos, so it's a lot bigger. The one after that, the head is horizontal, so it's down there, so it's all in line with the handle. That goes up to 325 kilos, and the one after that is 3/4 of a ton. So it's for, you know, engines and big heavy lumps. You don't need them for this. I mean, they go into the thousands of pounds. But like I say, this one, the smallest of the hydraulic ones, is ideal for carving. But to be honest, I prefer the little mechanical one.